I'm going to sound crazy when I explain this vision. I've never seen anything like this before, and this video might be taken down for the things I share. I'm not sure. I know most of you follow me for my astrology videos, but this isn't one of them. I don't ever talk about spiritual warfare. It's not something that I like tapping into, and I've never had visions of it in detail. But last night I got a vision where I saw the end game. I saw the war that we're going through right now, and I only normally get visions of the new earth and all the beautiful, peaceful harmony, unconditional love frequency that happens after this world collapses. But I've never seen what happens between or in the transition from this world to the new earth. And I think I saw it last night. I felt Mother Earth beneath me, and for the first time ever, I felt Mother Earth's rage and anger. And she was really, really angry. And I could feel it like pulsating up through my feet, up my legs and into my body, this anger, this rage, this pain. And I started getting flickers and visuals of Earth's history, and she holds all the memory of everything that's happened here, right? So she just started showing me everything, and I was getting flickers of, the first thing I saw was bison in North America getting slaughtered, millions of them just getting slaughtered for no reason, and feeling Mother Earth's pain from every single life that was lost. And then I saw the Native Americans get slaughtered and killed, and I felt the pain, and I was already starting to cry. And then I flew over Australia and I saw the Aboriginals get murdered, and I flew over everywhere and I saw all the murder that was happening, and I saw elephants getting shot, and I saw rhinos getting slaughtered, and I saw whales getting slaughtered, and I saw all this stuff. And Mother Earth had held memory of every single life that had been taken here, and remembered all the injustice that has happened over centuries and centuries. And I was just getting flickers of everything that was happening, what humans have done to each other, what humans have done to animals and the earth, what other beings, interdimensional, alien, extraterrestrial beings have done here, and all the pain that Mother Earth was holding. And it was the most intense feeling I've ever felt. Like, I was just crying and feeling her pain. And I've experienced like a fraction of this before, where I've felt all the emotions of the human experience, where I've felt the joy of holding a baby in my arms. I felt the happiness of dancing and getting married and the beauty of a flower blossoming. But then I feel the pain of loss and death, and the grief and the suffering of poverty, and the suffering of being a soldier, the suffering of watching my wife and children get raped, and the most brutal things that have happened here on Earth that I don't want to go into detail. But Mother Earth has been keeping the score, is literally what I felt last night. And it was just running up my body, all this pain and anger and rage. Like, she has been sitting here silently waiting for a breaking point. And I felt like we hit that point where she was like, enough is enough, now is the time. Over centuries and centuries, nature has been bouncing back, gently growing back through all this destruction. But this was, bigger than that. This is when Mother Earth was really starting to rise and, fight back, or end the suffering that has happened on this planet. And all of a sudden I was in this dark church. It was like this massive church, and it was almost pitch black. And I was standing there, and I could still feel Mother Earth beneath me. I could still feel her rage. And then I saw all these reptilians in front of me, who are the ones who run this world. I saw the elite, the Illuminati. I saw these like old men in business suits, the ones who run the big corporations. But even above that, like the 1% club, the people who have been running these 100-year plans, that have planned all this suffering of everything that's happened on Earth, has been an agenda. And I saw all of them there. And I saw the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, and one of them had like scales on his neck, so he was a lizard. I saw Bill Gates there, Oprah for a second. Bill Gates was the main one that I saw, but they were just all like dark business people that I haven't even seen before. And I could feel this rage of Mother Earth, like she was ready to fight them. And this reptilian came up to me, and he was like the head, the leader of this elite group, and he faced me, and he was about that far away from me, and he was this ugly reptilian dude, and he had red orangey eyes, and he was like hissing at me like he just wanted to kill me. And I could feel their darkness, this whole group of them, and I could see them for as far as the eye could see, just reptilians, like they had a whole army of them. And this is the first time I've actually seen the spiritual war that's happening, the light versus the dark. And I've never wanted to play into that story, but it's what I saw. And the leader came and just faced me like he wanted to kill me. And I had no fear. I felt so strong. I felt Mother Earth's like rage and power within me, and all this pain was running up my body, and I was still crying. I was still getting flickers of all the slaughter and the brutality that has happened here. And that pain turned into light. My whole body just filled with light, and this pain turned to the most incredible power. And I looked this reptilian in the eye, and it wasn't like this really good one-liner from a Hollywood movie, but I said something like, I just looked him in the eyes, and I said, "This is when it ends. This is when we win." And he looked at me, and he was hissing and he was just about to reach out for me, like to strangle me, and his face was all deforming and distorted, and he was screaming at me. And then it was like 11 from Stranger Things. I just went, "Ah!" And I just shone all this light and was shooting him. And then it was like this moment where Mother Earth just like clicked into gear, and then the ground beneath me just blew up, and the ground was like moving like waves, like the soil beneath us was moving like this, and she was like bubbling to the surface, all this anger and rage, and every life that has been taken, she's been keeping the score, and like now is the moment. And we were fighting this army of the elite and reptilians, and it was just me and Mother Earth. And then all of a sudden I turn around behind me, and there are billions of bison coming from behind, just stampeding to fight this war. And then I saw horses, and I could feel the pain of all the horses that have been beaten and slaughtered on this planet. They were running in, and I saw lions, and I saw rhinos, and I saw elephants, and the entire animal kingdom. When Mother Earth finally snapped and said, "This is the time," all of the animal kingdom just appeared out of nowhere and was stampeding and fighting against this army. And there was this horse beside me, and his eyes were white, and he was just shining, beaming light at these other beings. And it was violent and it was aggressive, but we were just shooting light at them. There was so much darkness and low frequency, and they were so dense, and we were just shooting everything we had at them, all this light. And then I looked up, and I saw aliens come down, and I work with the Greys and the Pleiadians and the Andromedans. They're like my main guys. And I had a group of Greys standing behind me, and they had my back, and Pleiadians on this side. And I looked at one of them, and he just nodded his head like, "This is it." And so they start shooting light at these reptilians, and they're stampeding towards us, and we're just giving it everything we've got. Like, it was a battle. And it was like the Avatar movies, if you've ever seen that. Like, those movies, like, every time I watch them I get activated. There is remembrance there. They are showing us what's happening right now. There are wars happening spiritually, energetically, and like, I was seeing it. I was there, and we're just shooting all this light. And there were aliens, there were animals, and then I saw these Native Americans, millions of them, all the souls that had been slaughtered, like their spirits were coming back and fighting this war, the war to end all wars. Like, this really felt like the end game. This is what happens before we step into the new earth and we get to that peace and love and harmony, and there's no war or death or violence in that world anymore. This was the last straw of everyone fighting. And I saw Aboriginals running. I saw like people from every culture, every indigenous nation was there. And I saw people from the Amazon, like all these different Amazon tribes there. And this guy walked past me, and he had like a bone or a spear like through his nose and through his lips, and he had green and orange paint on his face, and he was fighting it with us. And there's Amazonian tribes that like have had no contact with anyone else, any other human, with the Western world, but they were fighting with us because Mother Earth asked them to. And there is a lot of violence amongst tribes and amongst our people for centuries. And this really felt like the ending of violence. Like, this was their last fight. He looked at me and he was like, once we're done here, like, this is when we drop our weapons. This is when division ends. This us versus them ends. The tribal aggression and violence ends. Like, this is the last fight. And I looked up in the sky, and there were spaceships, all different beings. The Galactic Federation of Light was there, just shooting light at the reptilians. And it was this universal war. And I was facing off the head guy, the head reptilian, and I started screaming light language at him, like screaming it. And it was really deep and tribal, and yeah, like I've never heard sounds like that before. And then all of a sudden from the sky, light codes started streaming down and shooting like lightning at all these beings, all these reptilians, all these politicians and the Illuminati and the elite. Like, each one was getting shot, and I was just screaming light language and pouring light into them. And I was, fighting the head reptilian, and we were fighting hard, and we were fighting for a long time. I could feel the energy in my body. I could feel the Mother Earth kept pulsating her pain and the memory of torture and suffering into my body that was turning into white light and power to keep fueling this energy within me to keep fighting. I also forgot to say that they had incredible technologies behind them, the dark forces. Worse than EMFs, but like similar to that. They have machines where they can shoot lasers into our minds and turn us, or machines that can literally fry us from the inside out. And they had those types of weapons with them, and they were trying to shoot that at us. But I was looking head on at this main reptilian, and I was just screaming at him. I was like, do you think this is going to work? You think that's going to kill me? Ah! And I was just like shooting more light, and like my eyes lit up like light, like all the other animals' eyes had lights in them as well. And we were just shooting light, and we blew up these machines, this weaponry they had, the bad technology, the bad AI that they were using for destruction. We're still in this dark church, right? Like, there's darkness everywhere, because everywhere where they were, there was just darkness all around them, but we just kept shooting light. And I looked up at the ceiling or into the sky, and there was this giant oval of golden white light, which is how I see Source. Every time I go to Source, it's just this big oval of light. It's where our souls have originated. and it's where we sign all our soul contracts before we incarnate here. That's how I see it. And it was like Source was overseeing this universal war that was happening, and every single being I could ever think of was there, like joining in on this fight. And it really was like the light versus the dark. But I never see these beings, the bad guys, as ones with no soul. Like some people say that they're soulless, they're evil, they're the devil, whatever. I don't see it like that. This reptilian that I was fighting off, and I saw it in Bill Gates as well, they have their soul, but their soul light is so dim because it's so wrapped around with layers and layers and layers of darkness, of greed, of power, of control, of hatred. This thirst for blood and death had just wrapped around their soul, which they pretty much had no soul light left, but I could still see it within all of them. All of these beings that we think are, horrible, horrible, evil things, they still have a soul from Source, and Source was overlooking this whole war, and we were just trying to shoot enough light into their soul to hit that soul light within them, to send them home, to send them back to Source love, to send them back to the light where their soul could be purified and healed, because everyone is light at the end of the day. We just live in a very dense duality of darkness and light. But this was like the final, surge of light to rid of the darkness, basically. And I was screaming light language at Bill Gates, and was this lightning strike struck and hit the middle of his soul, just where that little bit of light was, and was able to get his soul and throw it up into the sky into Source, and Source caught it. Source I just threw it up into that oval of light, and that's what we were doing on each of these beings. This reptilian would come at me and I'd burst him with light, and then we'd just throw his soul up, and the souls were rising and being taken back to Source, back to its home, back to so they could heal and go back to their original essence, was how I saw it. And it was the most intense thing I've ever seen. We gave it everything we had, and it was just me and this reptilian. He was the strongest out of all of them, and we just kept pouring light, and I managed to get through all the layers of darkness to his soul, and he was screeching, and just his whole face was distorting and deforming, and then he shriveled up, and then had his soul, and we threw it up to Source for Source to deal with. We got to a point where someone like Bill Gates, he could not physically be here anymore. He could not be here in form. He needed healing. He needed to go back to Source. And all these beings that were a part of the elite had been doing such evil things and around darkness for so long, they couldn't be here in the physical. We just had to help them get back to Source to heal and be purified. So then we won, the light won, which, no surprise, we already know that, but I've just never seen such an intense vision of this spiritual war. And I don't know if that's physically ever going to happen, where I'm going to face off a reptilian like that and fight them in real life, or whether this is just spiritual energetic. I'm not sure, but it was incredible, and that's what's happening right now. This is these energies that we're going through, and we are pushing through incredible layers of density and darkness to reach the new earth. All the beautiful visions I have of what's coming after this, this is what's energetically happening in the background for us to get there. I hope that someone watched and someone resonates with that out there. I don't know, sounds pretty crazy. But I dedicate this video to a man called Chuko, who we sadly lost to the dark forces. And I'm still in denial. I don't want to admit that maybe he's passed. I hope that the good guys have saved him. There's a lot of people that's happening to. They're being saved and put into witness protection. but if he was on the other side, he's helping from that place as well. And Swimming Through the Void was his channel. He was spreading incredible light, the most incredible man I've ever seen. His light and his energy was just out of this world. So he was there in that battle, and he was like, yeah babies, let's go. And I just every video after this one, this and every other, is for him. And if he died, he didn't die for nothing, and the light is winning. And this universal spiritual energetic war, like, this is when the darkness ends. This is when the war of all wars finally finish, and this is when the new earth begins.